Hello viewers, it's Ultimas by PT3 here, and today I am doing reviewed number 6. I'm going to be reviewing the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
For none now live who remember it.
Now this is by far my favorite trilogy adaptation, if you say so. I mean, last week for The Hobbit, this is like I said before, this is one of my favorite worlds. It's just this is my favorite franchise by far. So yeah, this is the trilogy. This is the longest, in my opinion, the longest movie trilogy ever made. um, Hang on. Okay, so just get this in full screen so I can talk about it just a bit. So yeah, for the Fellowship of the Ring, I mean, obviously last week I was talking about the Hobbit. It really kind of sets up for Fellowship of the Ring. I mean, clearly, it. Well, the thing is, the thing that I found great about the Fellowship of the Ring is it's kind of like an Avenger type. It kind of feels like Avengers in a way. I mean, it isn't Avengers, but it kind of that this whole team up thing where you have all these people teaming up. It is. I mean, it's a high fantasy movie. It's really amazing. It's the best. I mean, it's almost 3 hours, but it's worth it. I mean, it's a great movie. It really said. I mean, obviously, the Battle of the Five Armies, which is one of the movies I reviewed last week. That one set it for this one. I mean, everything like the every ending of Battle of the Five Armies. You got Bilbo. They film one last scene where Bilbo is pondering his thoughts, and just before Gandalf knocks on the door, asking for Bilbo, which happens at the very beginning of this movie. So I mean, it was a great movie. It's like, it's what you expect. I mean, not having read the books, it's like one of those things where it's like I don't really care about the books. I mean, it's Lord of the Rings. It's one of my favorite franchises of all time. um, so yeah, let's just see a trailer here. Okay, so this is just playing a trailer. Oops, sorry. Just okay. So yeah. So yeah. I like how it. The one thing I like about the movie is that the stuff is done by Galadriel. Like the entire narration. The character of Galadriel is amazing. A lot of these characters were in the book. I mean, I haven't read the book, but I know enough about the movie. I love Bag End. Bag End is my favorite set of all time. I mean, I always wanted to be in that. I mean, it's like some of those theme parks that they have now open, but one of them I would love to have the Shire, at least to be. All of us wanted to go to a place like that. I mean, Bag End, it's just a great place. It feels like a home. Um, Excuse me, I'm a little under the weather this week. Yeah, I'm a little sick this week, but I must go on. I must do this. Uh, it, it's a really powerful story. All of this. It feels so ancient. Like everything about this. The orcs look very disgusting. I mean, look at that. Ugh. They look like aliens. Actually, they kind of look like aliens. The reunion was great. I did find out they're Nazguls. I love this effect. How you kind of read it, and then it's like invisible writing or something, invisible ink. It's really cool. Elijah Wood was great. He actually pulled off a British accent. Like, I think if you hear later in the trilogy, he says Mordor. That's a British accent. He's an American. He's an American actor. Elijah Wood is an American actor, and yeah, he plays Frodo as British, which doesn't make sense. I mean, I don't even know if it's British, but it definitely sounds like. I mean, for example, if you take Mordor and Mordor, that sounds British. I mean, you know. I love these effects. It was a really well done trilogy, and I really enjoyed it. And yeah, it's a long movie, but I mean the acting is phenomenal. I mean, come on, what do you expect? It's a phenomenal movie. It's like one of those movies where you expect it to be great, and it is great because it's Lord of the Rings. Um, Now the Council of Elrond was great because actually they turned the Sean Bean or the Boromir thing of one must simply not one can't sleep or walk in no Mordor or something, and that's been turned into like a meme of like one mustn't simply something like it's like a thing on Facebook where it's like all over like you keep using the memes for Boromir's one doesn't simply or whatever. It's great. This is a great picture right here. I mean, it feels like the Avengers. Well, not exactly, but it definitely kind of has that ring to it of kind of assembling for a quest. And I like how they're all there. And yeah, Legolas doesn't you know, he looks younger, of course. Um, I like what I like about this one is you have the hobbits. Now, funny thing is, excuse me, all these actors they're the same size. Yeah, they are. However, because of the characters themselves are shorter, they had to use like a scale tool for editing to make them look small, even though the actors are actually the same size, about roughly the same size um, as the other actors. Like the hobbits are supposed to, like in real life they're actually not that small. I mean, take Elijah Wood. He's the same height as I believe he's the same height as Orlando Bloom. I mean, it doesn't look like it, but that's what editing. That's the power of editing right there. Now these like orc scenes, they're just disgusting. Um, that was actually creepy. It's like one of the two creepiest scenes was when Bilbo is saying is like making his when he's like when Frodo goes in the ring for the first time. He's like that's another one, and then when she turns into like a monster thing, that's like really great, crazy. This is amazing. I mean, I like how they get new cloaks and it's just magical and it's so amazing. It really and you get Gollum for the first time. It doesn't look like anything like Gollum in the second movie. Um, it I mean Moria feels so ancient. It makes me feel I don't know. I mean, I guess it just makes me feel like I'm in another world, and I feel like this. It's just been around this mine has been around for hundreds, if not thousands of years, in terms of this world. I mean, I haven't even been around for that long, but in terms of this movie world, it's something else. I mean, it feels amazing. It just makes it feel so amazing. Um, that actually is Smog. This is Smog actually from Hobbit. Excuse me. I'm a little. I told you I'm a little sick today, so. But I have. But the show must go on. Um, Everything about this movie was great. I mean, they even made a Lego game based off this, and it was great. I really enjoyed it, and like the Mines of Moria just it feels so like powerful. It's just like Lord of the Rings is one of my favorite franchises. I mean, I'm sad it's gone, but like, I mean, by that I mean I'm sad there's not gonna be any more like Middle Earth type things. I mean, I think imagine they'll make more Lord of the Rings type or Middle Earth type things, but they're not making any more of those. So, no, that was creepy. Goblins were creepy. That was, I think everyone's actually no, not this one. Right here. So, I saw tell you the truth. I saw a thing on Facebook. It was Gandalf saying, "You shall not pass," and you have the Tenth Doctor showing up some sacky paper, and then it changes to, "You shall pass." It's like, "You shall not pass," and then you have the Doctor showing him some paper. It's like, eh? He's like, "You shall pass." It was great. It was amazing. That firework thing was great too. That's a lot of firework. That's a lot of fireworks. Um, this was amazing. This was so funny. I mean, oh, sweet. It was just touching to have Aragorn fall in love with Arwen. And I like Legolas's never-ending arrow supply. Yeah, he never runs out of arrows. He always had arrows. Um, the like see if I can get. Oh no. Okay. The I almost missed it. No, I missed it. Where is it? So I can get it. Okay, whatever. So if you saw that, it's the ring wraiths, but in like, I don't know, like like, I can't describe it. It's like death form or something. I don't know. This whole movie was amazing. The ring, everyone does that with the ring. The ring is just amazing. It's just, it's amazing what they've done with it. It's just, oh my gosh, it's one of my favorite movie franchises. I mean, especially with Hobbit. But we add a Hobbit to it, and you got Lord of the Rings. It just, wow, it's amazing. Then you have Strider, who's Aragorn. Yeah, it's funny how they have a trilogy. You know, it's a great movie. It really is. I thought that this movie was really great. Uh, I mean, like I said before, it kind of feels like an Avenger movie. Sort of, not really. Um, but every character itself was great. I mean, seriously, it really was. I like it's funny how these characters don't really like, you know, you got Saruman, you got Galadriel, you got Legolas. Unnecessary characters have a Hobbit. I mean, I guess the idea was to have them, kind of a younger version of them, even though Legolas is like thousands of years old. That's an elf. But in this movie, it was a great movie. I mean, it really took off. It felt so ancient. I mean, really, it did. It like it's like banded together. It's fantasy movie. It's what you expect, and it feels so ancient, and the music is gorgeous. It's so beautiful. I mean, honestly, every soundtrack. Quite a lot of the soundtracks just they feel amazing. It just makes you want to sleep. They just make me feel amazing. The soundtracks just, especially the Lord of the Rings soundtrack, itself, the theme song, or actually I think there's a couple of theme songs, but mainly the ones that I enjoy. They're really, really, really good. So that's the Fellowship of the Ring. So now with the Two Towers, this one, it was a great movie. I mean, I loved it. It was, I thought the very end of the movie was very funny. It was very silly because you got Pippin and Merry finding all this food. That would be my lucky day if I found food. So what can I say about this movie? It was fun. I mean, I like how they brought Gandalf back after he thought he was dead. I mean, I kind of figured they might do that, but like overall, it's the same movie, but it's like a more of it, and you get the introduction of Rohan and Gondor. I mean, fortunately, Boromir is dead, but you still get him in flashback scene, and it's amazing. I mean, the fact that they had extended editions make it even longer, and they have all these scenes, and it just, especially the ants, and actually I can show you. I'm gonna show you another trailer of that. Show you the trailer for it. Unfortunately, I have to do this. Yeah, unfortunately. Okay, so Now for the Two Towers, here's the trailer. Like I do every week. Just pointing out stuff. I like how the beginning it was of Frodo reenacting the dream sequence, or at least dreaming from very end of or towards the death, the quote, death of Gandalf. I don't know if it's Dumbledore for some reason. um, I mean, I like that. I like how that was great. That was just amazing. I mean, this landscape is gorgeous. I mean, that's just amazing. Oh my gosh. You get the injection of the Rohirrim, as they are called, but it's from Rohan, which is a place. You get Karl Urban, who's actually in Star Trek. He came in Lord of the Rings, but he's also in Star Trek as Bones. That was amazing. The armor effects, they look so real. I mean, it looks amazing. It looks like this is one of the best book to movie adaptations they've ever done in my life that I've ever seen. I mean, I haven't read the books, but what I've heard from the books is they're pretty good, and this is just by far one of the best trilogies ever. I mean, the orcs, the introduction of the Orcai also. I'm not sure if that was in the first one. I'm not sure that was in Fellowship of the Ring, but the orcs were just great. They really were. You get Merry and Pippin on the kind of other. I mean, what I liked about pausing for a second. What I liked about the Two Towers is there was three perspectives. So you have this to the next movie was three perspectives. You have Merry and Pippin, who are kidnapped at the end of kidnapped by Orcai. Actually, yeah, I guess the Orcai were I think that's the Rohan that were introduced in this movie. So you got the Orcai who take Merry and Pippin away, and they have their own little quest with the Ents. And then it kind of it goes through storylines. It goes through Merry and Pippin, Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli, and then Frodo and Sam. Actually, I think the Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli they kind of go with Gandalf, and they have their own little thing with the Rohan people. But I like how they go for all these storylines, and you don't ever know what the next thing will be. It's just great. I like this like. I actually saw a YouTube poop on this. It was so funny. I'll also link it to you. It made me laugh so hard. It happened to do with like, I am Aragorn, son of, or this is Legolas, son of Gimli, or it was like Gimli, son of Legolas. I don't know. It was really funny. I'll have to put that in the link, description. It was funny. This was great. I like. This is sad. I mean, that's just the word to hear is the Fellowship is broken. That was sad. I mean, kind of feels like in the next Marvel movie, Captain America: Civil War. That's basically what it is. The Avengers are broken. This kind of feels like that. And the marshes. That was great. The costumes were great too. I mean, that didn't even feel like costumes. They just felt like clothes, like you'd wear in a fantasy universe or fantasy world. This, the relationship. I like the relationship between Frodo and Sam. It really depicted well. I mean, it was. I mean, like I said before, not having read the books, which I never really bothered because they're too long. I mean, they're like you get 5 books and you take that into 3. I think the first. I think Fellowship was, I think Fellowship was one book. Two Towers was another. No, I think the first one. I mean, I'm not even sure, but I think the first one was one book, the second one was 2 books, and the third one was 2 books too. So that's 5. I don't know. I haven't read them. But I like the relationship. I love the relationship between Sam and Frodo. That was so great because I mean, especially with Smeagol or Gollum, that was great. I love this. This scene was great. It's like you have Gandalf versus Balrog, and then him turning into Gandalf the White, which looks This looks awesome. This looks so pretty. Not that he's pretty, no, it's not. The character itself is just fantastic. It just felt so amazing. The script was good too. Very very good script. I like these rain scenes. It's kind of like really cool. It's just, oh my gosh, just how can you? I mean, gotta fight war in the rain. I guess the Eye of Sauron was great too. You have all these things. You got all of these. I mean, like, the two towers is great because you get it kind of like it feels like it's not a tower, not kind of like Sauron and Sauron are like for joining forces, and it seems that way. Arwen, Eowyn was great too. She's amazing. The character was great. Wait, was that? Wait. Was that giants? I'm pretty sure it was giants. Well, that's giants. Wow, that's crazy. I like his hairstyle. It feels like maybe she's a princess or a queen. I don't know. I don't really know. I don't know how the royalty works in Lord of the Rings. He looks so ashamed. He's like Gandalf, doing things. He's like, ugh, why don't I need to be here? This is bad enough. That's really funny. I kind of like it's like human people are fighting for Saruman. That's very, ugh, seems really violent. You got Théoden, great king, by the way. Fair king, he's great. Now, Greenwood Wormtongue was a great character. He's just so vile and just, ugh, great character. This is a lot of armies. It's a lot of Orcai. That's great. I mean, obviously he's like the best character ever. I mean, honestly, I have to say that the Gandalf. My three favorite characters. I mean, it's not. I don't really have a favorite character, but if I would pick one or pick three, I would pick Frodo, Aragorn, and Gandalf, and maybe Legolas. But I don't know. Christmas. These. The only thing is the Lego game looks terrible with the locations because you have I think one of the places was like right next to this place. It was like, I don't know, it was like right, I don't know, there or something. Like it was like the left or something. It was just so close to the place. I mean, this was actually constructed without like a backdrop or something. They use the CGI to add in the effects of landscape. The landscape is beautiful though. It does. It generally feels like. I mean, it's a great trilogy. I mean, it really was. I loved it. The romance between Arwen and Aragorn is so awesome. I mean, especially the elves just feel so mystical and just mysterious. I love it. It makes me go ugh. Makes me just feel like it's an ancient movie. And then this Smeagol, that was a great character. Brandy Circus, that was great because he returns from Hobbit, and he goes after Frodo and Sam. And then of course he betrays him. He betrays Frodo and Sam, which was awesome. No, not awesome, just great. Well, the envisioning of Arwen losing Aragorn was sad too. I mean, some of these aspects were very sad. Like for example, going back to following the Gandalf, like whenever everyone was crying, that made me sad. I mean, it didn't make me cry, but it's really made me very very sad because, I mean, they just lost a friend, an ally, and it was, I mean, that's just horrible. I mean, it's just dreadful to have that happen to your characters. Again, the only thing I think that's just too much was these rain scenes. A lot of rain scenes. Overall, it was a great movie. I mean, it was very very long. It's nearly 3 hours. I mean, each of them are nearly 3 hours. I mean, I think the Return of the King is 3 hours and 21 minutes according to the Wikipedia. I looked it up before I start of this episode. That each of the previous two are almost 3 hours, which is old. I mean, considering how much you got to adapt from a book, it's reasonable, I'd say. The warg fight was great too. That they really did a good job with the wargs. I mean, honestly, I haven't read the books, so I don't really know what the way they look like. But I mean, they changed the wargs from this one to Return of the King, which I'll be going over next of course. But they look different. I mean, they really do. And Frodo, the march scene was great because I mean it was just so it feels so old because you got this feeling of Great War happened and that just feels so amazingly ancient. Because I can't even just know how that would happen because I wouldn't have been in the war. If it was fantasy, I mean it's just a great. I like how Frodo ignores Smeagol and just goes after the lights and falls into the water, just like that right there. That was cool too. To have. I mean, I find it a little. I feel sorry for Eowyn because she's falling in love with Aragorn when he already he already has a girlfriend. Well, sort of. I mean, I don't know if they're married. They're not really married. They're just kind of like in love, and yeah, you got an elf falling over the man. It's great. The costumes are amazing too. They really feel fantasy. The ants were good too. Were cool too. The elephants were great. I mean, funny enough, they're called Mimi kills in by the orcs or the video game Lord of the Battle of Middle Earth 1 and 2. They're called Mimi kills. I don't know why they're called that, but never really understood that. But it was great. I mean, I love the Battle of Helm's Deep, or when the Rohans Rohan the Rohirrim are fighting the rest of the orcs after they can't fight or whatever, and so they bring the Rohan people over and they fight. I don't remember that part. I guess like Frodo is struggling or something. And it's great characters. That's what I'm talking about. The scene where they fight the rest of the Orca. That was great. It was amazing. That was, and then this scene was great too. The whole he's falling off his horse. He's been rescued by his horse, or he fell off the horse, but with the warg, and he came back and thanks to his horse, he basically brought him back. And he comes like this. That was awesome. Everyone's like, what the fuck? He's like, what? Overall, great movie. It was a great movie, especially especially at the very very end. Like I said before, where like this, do the spirit one. Especially where like I said before, Mary and Pippin are having like a smoking thing, where they're finding all this food. I mean, the ants were also really great. I mean, overall, the movie was great. Now, for the Return of the King, this was awesome because the very beginning of the movie you have Smeagol, before he became obsessed with the ring and go mad to the point where he turns into this like goblin creature thing. Gollum. I like how he had a I think it's his brother, Deagle. He they have basically they told the very beginning of the scene. It's basically I'm not really sure you'd call it a dream, but I mean not really a dream, but I think it might have been Spiegel's dream, of where he dreams about I think it's they give us an origin to where Smeagol came from. He was originally a hobbit. with very long hair, and he goes on on a fishing. He goes fishing with his brother, I think, or he thinks his brother or his cousin Deagle. I can't remember. I don't even know. Um, and they catch a fish, and the fish goes on. The fish takes Deagle. Deagle had the fish, and fish takes Deagle underwater. He goes underwater. He finds the ring. He unscoops it, and he gets out of the water and finds the ring. Finds that he found a ring, and unfortunately, it's apparently it's Snook's birthday, and he wants the ring, and so Deagle will give it to him. So he literally strangles the life out of him, and which is very sad. Um, very horrible thing to do, to strangle your brother, your cousin, your brother, whatever. I don't even know where. I don't. I think. I mean. I think. I'm assuming that Deagle is Smeagol's brother. I don't know. And you think he strangles the life out of Deagle, and and gets the ring for himself, and he's able to put it on, and it drives him mad for 500 years, as noted in the Fellowship of the Ring. And he, like, because Galadriel notes that for 500 years the ring poisoned his mind, which is just awful. Turning yourself from a hobbit to a creature that has like almost no hair, that's dreadful. I mean, especially being like half naked. I mean, that's just ugh. Okay, so I'm gonna play the next trailer for you. This was by far the longest movie. According to the Wikipedia, before I recorded this episode, it's 3 hours and 21 minutes. That's a fucking ass long movie. I love the Army of the Dead. That sequence was great because I mean they're not unkillable. So and their Nazguls were great too. Shelob, that was scary. That was one of the more terrifying scenes of the movie, was Shelob, and I don't even know how I can differentiate a male spider from a female spider. Apparently, there's a difference. I don't like his effect. I don't like his webbing on Frodo. He doesn't even notice. It was great. I mean, actually, I think that scene's actually from the Two Towers, where as I think it's from the Two Towers, where it's showing the king's crown again or something. Flowers are becoming the king's crown again. I don't know. I did pausing here. I did notice that that the scene where the Pippin is singing his song with Mary, where that song is, I can't remember. And he stops singing and looks at Gandalf, and he's like, as if he just shouldn't be here. It's like he's doesn't. I mean, I think that's the whole idea of taking the ball thingy that Saruman has. I don't even know. Okay. And then this was so. Whoa, that just feels so amazing. I mean, wow, that looks death-like. It just feels like death right there. That's essentially what it is. It's the city of death. I mean, this path, this these effects, these rocks look so real. The Ring looks awesome too. I mean, the Return of the King was one of the longest movies and one of the best movies of the entire trilogy. Well, actually, I think I like Fellowship more, but this was great too. And the fact that because the reason they called it the Return of the King is because Aragorn becomes the new king of Gondor, and that's the idea. Gondor is a city. And I like how they give Aragorn a new sword by rebuilding the old one that broke during the war. I believe that was part of that. Liv Tyler did a great job. I mean, she's fucking beautiful. I mean, look at that. She's so gorgeous. That was awesome. The fact they reforged the sword, that was awesome. And then I like how I thought how the scene where Smeagol's devising a plan to get rid of Sam and Frodo is just wicked. I mean, he's already wicked enough, but and then Sam finds out, and then this whole sequence really defines their relationship, and also the relationship with Smeagol. And actually, um, to get back to old Nick show, Drake and Josh, which is kind of example for Smeagol. He's always finding ways to do bad things to Sam at least, um, or to like pretend he didn't do anything, and like the character Megan in Drake and Josh is always finding ways to mess up Drake and Josh's lives, and this is kind of the same thing with Smeagol, um, where he's he's acting like nothing bad happened, and then he's like, oh yeah, and he looks back and like, oh yeah, that's right, that's what I'm talking about. You don't mess with me. That was crazy too. That was like, whoa, ouchie. And they have the Nazgul. That was awesome. That's awesome. He's like, whoa my gosh, fuck. um, this was creepy though. This is really creepy. I mean, the especially the King of the Dead. It was. I mean, during the scene where Aragorn sees the King of the Dead between the kind of the mountain pass, that was creepy. It's like whoa. And then Lala Alinea, whatever it's called, I can't even remember that. That was a great effect. I love the light. I don't even know how to pull it off. I think this is the same thing where they have a wire or something. But Sheila was menacing too. Wow, that kind of feels reminds me of Harry Potter, Hogwarts Castle, and Deathly Hallows. It really kind of does. Well, I'm kind of. It's kind of sad how how Eowyn had feelings for Aragorn, but of course she ended up choosing Faramir in the end, because you can clearly tell that happens in the end of the movie. Um, the White City, the Ministry, that was awesome. Got everything you really would hope for. This was funny because you clearly know that Eowyn's not dead. She's just sleeping or knocked out or something. That's funny. It's like, it's funny. It's like, oh god, that he must not be knowing what's really happening. That is amazing. That face, awesome face, remarkable. He obviously he's hallucinating. She's not actually real. Okay, can I just say something? That is one of the worst helmets I've ever seen in my life. That's just, it's so ugly. Just, ugh. I mean, I guess the idea is Bosch knows, but seriously, that is the worst looking design helmet I've ever seen in my life. Just saying, it's really, really awful. Not something I'd like to see. I like this whole battle. This, as a lot of people, I thought that Legolas's battle for the Olivans, well, that was awesome, because especially starting with Two Towers, I like how Gimli and Legolas are counting how many people they've killed, how many orcs they've killed or orcai they've killed, and it happens with Legolas, and his takedown of the elephant or Oliphant was awesome, or Mimikil as the Mordor say. That was so awesome. That was like the epicest thing ever. I love the that was so cool. That was awesome. I mean, that just bam. That effect was beautiful. It really was amazing. This defines their friendship. It defends their friendship a lot. And giving lots of the long battle leave. That was awesome. She seems to be dead, apparently, but apparently she's not dead, because I don't know how she gets better. That doesn't really make sense. Oh my gosh, Gimli is smoking inside. That's so rude. I don't think anyone realizes how rude that is. You don't just smoke inside. That's not allowed anywhere. I mean, seriously. I mean, I like how Gandalf was in different robes, but different clothes, but just no. That is not what you do. You don't smoke inside. That's the weirdest thing ever. I didn't even notice that. Yeah, that was so awesome. These effects, these Mimi kills, or the elephants, or Oliphants. But that was so awesome. That's what I mean. The whole where he's taking down the Oliphant. That was cool. That was so amazing. And then this. Oh yeah. And then our Eowyn revealing who she really is. That was awesome. And then the battles. And this was actually from the one they found out the king was dead. That was awesome. Yeah, that was great. Oh, that was so great because you got Frodo, or you got kind of like with the beginning of Fellowship of the Ring, where you have Isildur and um, Elrond. Elrond's telling him to throw the ring into the fire, destroy it, and he's like no. And you got the same thing here where Frodo is looking is taking the ring and he's about to drop it, and Sam's like, "What are you waiting for? Let it go." And he's like, and then Frodo's like, "No, the ring is mine," and he breaks it off the chain and puts it on, and then Gollum decides to chew his finger off, and he's without it, and that was sad. It's like, oh my gosh, how horrible. Um, and then he ends up kicking Gollum off the edge of the large thing, where that thing is the structure of Mount Doom. Um, and of course, Frodo lives, and Gollum dies because that's how it happens. Um, because of course that's just the way it works. Um, so yeah, the Return of the King. I mean, I thought I liked how it finally wrapped things up. Finally the end of the long journey that awaits Frodo and Sam. It kind of like it kind of started the whole thing. Excuse me. The whole thing with Aragorn, Gandalf, like the Rohan people, and Gimli and Legolas having their own storyline. You have Frodo and Sam having their own storyline. You have Frodo and Sam Gollum having their own storyline, and then you have Merry and Pippin. Of course, Merry and Pippin. I mean, eventually Merry and Pippin kind of like go to the separate ways and do the fight for the Ministry. But like, and then it got to the point where it's just two storylines where it's Merry Pippin, Gandalf, Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli, and Éomer, and just all the Rohan people, and Frodo and Sam down on their quest. And that moment when I guess my favorite part of the movie is when Mount Doom finally gets destroyed, because you get this amazing soundtrack, it's amazing music. It's like that. It's kind of like that. It's just like, oh my gosh, oh, because you realize that he finally destroyed the ring, but then in the process, everyone seems like, oh crap, he died. It's like he's dead. Um, I also thought that it was sweet how Sam finally gets the girl he wanted. He wanted to marry Rose Cotton because he was like in love with her, and I like how that he finally got what he wanted. That was amazing, and I like how I think the one of the more sad things about the end of the second one was they had the soundtrack. It had the music in It is by far one of the saddest musics or soundtracks ever. From the Two Towers. This is for the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy. Was the Gollum song. That was so sad. It's like one of the saddest songs in the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy that I've ever heard of. It's like it almost made me cry. It's like, oh my gosh. I mean, because considering that Gollum, because the ring poisoned his mind for 500 years. I mean, that's a long time. It really is. It's a long time, and because I mean, some of the lyrics are like, you're lost, you can never go home. If that happened to me, that would be so horrible. But like, it'd be so bad. Especially being lost for 500 years, that would be terrible. I mean, it'd be dreadful. I mean that song, and of course, the end of Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, that was great. It was like the crowning ceremony. That was great, and it's like, and then of course, Arwen comes to Aragorn, and like she finally gets what she wants to marry Aragorn, and then like, you got the hobbits, the four hobbits who are looking at everyone who are, and then it's like, and then Aragorn's like, my friends, you about to know one, or my friends, you about to know one. I think they're bowing, and they're like, you about to know one, and then they all bowed, and that was just magic. It was so awesome. And of course Aragorn became king, and everyone was happy, and it just, especially I think one of the sad scenes was where you have them farewelling. You have the four hobbits saying goodbye to everyone. That was sad. That was so sad. But of course you have Bilbo, who looks so old. Like, I mean, from the beginning of Fellowship, and of course a bit of Hobbit, he looks, his gray hair, and then like when he goes to Rivendell, he has white hair, and then by the end of that, he looks nothing like Ian Holm. I mean, obviously he has made a lot of prosthetic on a lot more, make him look extra old, but it was amazing. It really was. I mean, I felt just so sad. I mean, long but sad, and just of course, Frodo goes on the boat with Bilbo. That was amazing. And you have the Westworld song. The ship, like the ships have come to carry you home. That was so amazing. I mean, the entire movie was epic, and like, wow. I mean, it was it's one of the by far one of the longest movie franchises of all time, I'd say. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to this. So starting with Fellowship, I'd say, because I'm actually rating them for now on. I'd give. Well, you know what? I'd give all three of them a 10 out of 10 because they were all so amazing. I mean, there's no question there. They were all great. There's nothing I felt that was wrong with them. I mean, yeah, I do agree. The only thing I think that might have been a bit too kind of like overused was the whole when they were like, the fight scenes where you would talk during fights. That was a bit like necessary kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, it was fantastic. I really loved it, and it's one of my favorite franchises. And I just thought the character developments for all these characters was just great, just fantastic, and I loved them all. They were great movies, and sad to see it go, but it's what you have to do, and it was amazing. It really was. So yeah. So this about does it for this week's episode of Reviewed. And if you have any suggestions for a review that you'd like me to review, then post it in the comments below. Or if you really want to, you can email me at shadowwizard1553@gmail.com. Again, it's shadowwizard1553@gmail.com. Or you can just leave your thoughts in the comments about what I should do next week. I have a few ideas, but just give me some ideas about what you think would be worth reviewing. Um, I mean, obviously, I won't be able to do everything, but give me if you want to give me ideas, go for it. It'd be nice to have that. Because I mean, I'm nailing the big franchises here. I have a lot lined up. I won't tell you what it will be, but you know, yeah. So yeah, thank you for watching this week's episode of Reviewed, and I will see you next week for another episode. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. See ya.